Harry's wife. Privacy lost. Privacy is something, of course, that Harry's wife sought to utilise for the purpose of an assertion of control over a variety of people, essentially saying, "Leave me alone. I have feelings too. I should be left alone and allowed to do what I want. It's not fair that you treat me in the way that you do." Of course, because of the hypocrisy of her being a narcissist, that she will engage in claiming that she wants privacy, and then, of course, puts everything out there for the purposes of tipping off the press in an area where ordinarily they wouldn't be seen. For instance, remember when she was suddenly papped shopping, dressed up as one of our Jawas is missing, when ordinarily paparazzi wouldn't be functioning there, and it was clear that they had been tipped off to find her out there shopping so that pictures could be taken. Typically, of course, Harry's wife operates on the basis of having her cake and eat it. If she doesn't want to be seen or reported on, you're not allowed to see her or report upon her because, of course, that offends her notion of privacy, and she will complain about it, most vociferously. Indeed, invariably taking legal action also. But where she wants you to know about everything that's going on, it is quite clearly the case that she will ensure that journalists, etc., are tipped off so that it can be witnessed, reported on, and enable her to subconsciously seek the prime aims by having her appear in a multitude of magazines and reportage. Harry, of course, has just recently issued his memoir and has made a variety of disclosures. He, of course, has made disclosures about his life and that of Harry's wife also. But one problem has amounted from this is that these disclosures are going to kibosh any claims thereafter that they should be entitled to privacy. You see, typically, Harry, in the grip of the narcissist, also has functioned on the basis of having his cake and eating it, just in the way that Harry's wife always has done so. Namely, she can face all ways at once. I'm allowed to say that I want to be seen, and then I'm allowed to say that I don't want to be seen, and you have to comply with what I tell you. When I want to be seen, you can report on it, but when I don't want to be seen, you're not allowed to report on it. Dem's the rules, and you better obey them. Of course, that shows the haughty, self-interested behaviour of the narcissist. But a lawyer, Amber Melville Brown, from one of the ball-washing brigade, in an article that was contained in the Times newspaper, demonstrates a problem that Harry has now generated both him and his wife. Ms. Melville Brown writes, "A taste for truth at any cost is a passion that spares nothing." And that comes from Albert Camus, the French philosopher. She writes, "In his emotional bloodletting, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, has spared none of his nemesis in seeking to tell his truth. But in opening his own veins, his excoriating pen has eviscerated the private lives of others, laying bare confidential communications, confided conversations, and familial secrets. That none of his victims will sue is almost certain, but could they? Harry beckons us into his father's bedchamber, where one finds Charles doing headstands that were prescribed by his physio as the only effective remedy for the constant pain in Pa's neck and back. We hide in the bushes at a secret meeting, revealing a private plea from his father to sons. Please, boys, don't make my final years a misery. Harry reveals that his brother, Prince William, now Prince of Wales, was confused, tormented, felt tremendous guilt for having done nothing, said nothing sooner about the other woman. We eavesdrop on whispered confidences at the graveside of grieving siblings, Willie confiding to Harold that he felt his dead mother with him, setting him up for life. Text messages over bridesmaids' dresses were likely to have been written by Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, only for the eyes of the bride-to-be, not as entertainment for the public. Yet, while not produced by Harry verbatim, they are shared in spare, causing not dissimilar distress to Kate, one imagines, as his wife, Harry's wife, complained was caused by the publication of her renowned Dear Daddy letter. Harry's wife's successful suit against the Mail on Sunday concerned communications about her private and family life, not her public profile or her work, in respect of which she enjoyed a reasonable expectation that they would remain private and not be published to the world at large. There are potential parallels between the privacy invasion caused to Harry's wife and those caused by Harry's wife's husband. These disclosures in spare sit alongside forays into Harry's first sexual experience, his frostbitten penis, his inconsolable grief, alcohol and drug use. The Duke may be confident that he is not thereby unravelling his own privacy pullover, perhaps relying on the judgment in Harry's wife's case, that the starting point is a person has the right to exercise close control over particular information about her private life, to decide whether to disclose anything about a given aspect of that life, and if so, what to disclose, when, to whom. Having now bared his soul, it's likely the media will rely on these disclosures, should Harry bare his legal teeth again in privacy litigation. Spare lambasts the tell-all memoir of Diana's former butler as merely one man's self-justifying, self-centering version of events, while those attacked in Harry's tell-all memoir may not sue. Perhaps they will console themselves similarly. Now, you wonder, what is all of this telling us? Well, what it means is that old Ginger Bollocks has fucked up. Because by giving so many disclosures that he has, by basically opening the door and saying to everybody, come on in and have a look at my frostbitten penis. Come on in and learn about what I say about my dad and him standing on his head. Here's what was said with regard to my dad not wanting his final years to be made a misery. That he has disclosed so much information about it that the problem is that Harry, and Harry's wife by extension, I would suggest, that if they sought to sue a newspaper to say, you're breaching our privacy, the media outlet would just turn around and say, but look what you've been doing, because you have repeatedly put it all out there. And of course, led by the nose by Harry's wife, who's encouraged him undoubtedly to make all of these disclosures, this means that thereafter, if there was any attempt to turn around and say to somebody, you should not be writing this about us, that's a breach of privacy, and therefore that's not appropriate, then in the circumstances, this would mean that they would turn around and say, well, you've put it out there already, and therefore that is the problem that you have, that you have put this information out already, so you now cannot cry foul. And as a consequence, the privacy that he might seek to utilize for both him and I would suggest also for her has been lost as a consequence of the disclosures that he has made in this publication, and of course actively encouraged to do so by Harry's wife as a consequence of her control over him, not something that he has actually given any thought to addressing. Thus, ultimately, he will be prevented, in all likelihood, from trying to stop any further disclosures about his life because of the content of Spare and the way that he's put it all out there, of course, totally encouraged, indeed aided and abetted by his controlling wife. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.